Yeah, and it is, dude. It's like very ancient knowledge, and like, um, I told you about it, but I recently bought that book. It's called Breathe, by Hickson Gracie, and he has a really interesting way of breaking down breathing. And Wim Hof has his method is just it's amazing. It really could change your life. But like, it what you and I talked about is he doesn't really get into detail on how to breathe because like what a lot of people don't know is that when you go to breathe, you should be breathing from your diaphragm. They call it diaphragmatic breathing, and you want to take the breath into the chest and the shoulders. So you're puffing out the chest and you're keeping the air, even when you breathe out, keeping in your lungs, in the chest, and in the shoulders. You don't want to be going all the way to the depths of your belly. Like they really kind of say that this will cut years off your life, and it's quite substantial. And what he'll do is he'll do hyperventilation, to really pull the breath out of the belly and pull it into the bottom of the lungs. When you start to practice this stuff, like, man, it opens up your brain. Like you feel so different. You feel more clear headed. The joints don't ache as much. You could totally feel the blood flow. You start to sleep better, start to think better. It does so much for you. It is incredible. And this is like ancient knowledge.
Yeah, you sent me the video. I haven't watched it yet though, but it's the same what Tony Robbins does, kind of like this controlled hyperventilating. But he does it with his arms like going up, but it's the same technique basically. And that's the one thing that Wim Hof is lacking in. Like he just say breathe. Doesn't matter if you can even do it to your ass. You're like breathe through your ass. Which is kind of a joke, but for some people they don't understand. Like okay, but how should I start? So it's really cool to have people that can really break it down specifically just in small steps.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like kind of push back on Wim Hof a bit because it does matter how you breathe. It really does. Like it's very important. If you're breathing from your belly, like you're pushing on like your groin muscles. You do things that are just not good for you. Like it kind of like messes you up almost. So like you really got to learn to breathe with the chest. It's so important. It really is. I mean, a lot of fighters have talked a lot about this, but like Hickson, what he will say is that like he could hold his breath for 5 minutes at any given time. So he doesn't really have to prepare for it anymore. But he has a super famous video on it's on YouTube, but it's from his documentary video, and he's sitting in a meditative position, and he's doing this dance with his belly as the music's playing. So he's like breathing, and his belly is like moving with the beat. It is incredible, man, and it really shows you what diaphragmatic breathing does because you learn to control all the muscles, all your oblique muscles, your hip flexors, into your rectus abdominis transverse, like all of it gets controlled. He could single things out, like each ab muscle. And when I saw that, I'm like, what the heck is that? Like it doesn't even look human,
I haven't seen it. You
and
should
like
send it over.
plus this guy's credentials is amazing. Sorry, dude. What was that?
No, I haven't seen it yet. You should send it over, the video.
I will,
I'm
dude.
curious.
It's very impressive. It's maybe I could find a clip of it and I'll put it on this podcast just so people
Cool.
get a visual. But
That,
yeah, he is. I mean, he's a prodigy for people that don't know. Like he really is known for being like the toughest Gracie of all time, and the Gracie family is like feared around the world when it comes to martial arts. They really changed the game for it, and his record is 410 and 0
Jesus.
in professional fighting, and like it is debatable. There's one fight that people debate about that, so they say he's 409 and 1. But does that matter?
Oh yeah, no. 409
shows
is
how
not significant. Then you're a bad fighter.
yeah, like seriously, like that makes a difference. People,
Yeah.
come on, like the dude is, and just the stories from him. Like, I mean, I read his book, I watched the documentary. Like, he really is like this, like 1%er of the 1%er. He's like a David Goggins. Like, I mean, David Goggins might even be scared of this guy.
And what connected to me as well with the breathing is you can do deep breathing in a lot of ways. Like if you go into the cold water, you are forced to do deep breathing. When you do a crazy workout, you are forced to deep breathing. When you run up to a stairs, you got to do deep breathing. So if we avoid things that make us do the deep breathing, then our body gets unhealthy as well. So you can either sit down and do the deep breathing, but also be actively with training, because that makes sure you're going to breathe well as well. So that kind of connected me, for me at least.
Yeah, man, I completely agree with that because like I practice like deep breathing with all my lifts. Like especially like yesterday I did I had a pull day, so doing my deadlifts. You get kind of lightheaded doing those. It's just common. And so every time when I come out of my lifts, I'll do a little deep breathing, like recover like that.
Yeah, it really charges your body basically, and then if you don't breathe, breathe is a really important component to MMA, martial arts, but also even like a deadlift. Like breathe in, push the diaphragm out to have abdominal pressure. So it happens a lot, and even when you're sleeping, some people like you have insomnia. I've had that, still struggling with it. Like you know how important breathing is when you're sleeping as well. So in all parts of our in our life, in our daily life, we need the breathing.
Yeah, it should be focused on like I try to focus on it all the time. Duncan Trussell, like I may have already mentioned this, but like he has such a cool way of explaining it. And I'm paraphrasing, so it's not as compelling coming from his mouth. But he went and learned from a monk, I think in like China or something like that. You know, one of these like crazy ones that could balance on their one toe or whatever. And he says he says that the guy like really brought up something interesting from him, but he said like, you know, when you're just like mindlessly breathing, you're not here. Someone else is in the driver's seat. But when he starts to breathe and deep breathe, he's like, oh, okay, I'm back home. I'm me. And like I've really connected to that because I don't know if you do, but like when you're not focused on your breath work, like your brain is like running rampant. It's doing other things that like maybe you're living in a different time frame in your head or whatever, and or worrying about something. But when you start to deep breathe, it brings you back to this moment, and you're like, okay, I'm me again. I feel like me again, and that's what happens to me.
Yeah, yeah, and they say that in meditation as well. Like just focus on the breath, and the rest kind of disappears, and that's true. You don't kind of think about your work or anything if you just focus on your breathing. And there's also a phrase I use, which is "you are here." That means I'm not there or anywhere else. So that's a phrase I use as well when doing the breathing, like breathing, connect, and I'm here. So I really relate to that for sure.